Marketing is probably one of the few professions that everyone has an opinion on. Somehow, the digital advertising budget had no net gain for the footfall traffic.
You come in and you're selling what was needed, and it's not what's valued.
I will never forget this. It was like a WhatsApp group with images of like the ads that would to be uploaded. And it was like...
Marketing's where people will go to try and get a quick, big win.
I worked with a client that they asked me that question. And the question was, have you ever seen one big idea just take off?
It's like saying, does a hammer work?
I've worked in agencies for 5 to 6 years, and clients come in with an expectation of what marketing is. When we got to the 6-month review, one of the things that came out was like, oh, well, actually, you haven't been doing the job that I've hired you on paper to do. And I go, and we're wrapping into December. The project's not going to start to let's say end of this January. By the time we scope, agreements, back and forth, etc., discovery. Does a call need to happen now? Yeah, it needs to happen, absolutely, yeah. Client emails over, oh, we need to get a meeting in, and like, oh, they're not being responsive, Ben. Like, oh, don't worry about it.
Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the Push podcast. My name's Jack Ferguson, an experienced brand strategist with a science background. In my career, I've worked across 25 industries and helped increase client and employer revenue by over $40 million. I will be your host. This season of the podcast is essential listening for marketers looking to better sell their strategies to stakeholders, get client buy-in, and keep internal teams engaged. Thanks for being here, and don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 45 of the Push podcast. Today my co-host is Ben Reeves. Now, Ben started his career in hospitality and retail before pivoting into marketing over a decade ago. Since then, he's worked agency side, in-house and platform side, including at well-known brands like Shopify. Now a seasoned e-commerce strategist, he's known for helping brands grow through smart customer-first strategies. You can find other episodes where I've spoken to Ben on this podcast. We co-hosted episode 39 and 33 of this season, so give them a listen once you are done with this one. You can find links to his online profile in the description of this podcast, and you can also find links to my online profiles there as well. Let's bring in Ben. Ben, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode.
Likewise.
What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about
expectations.
Yeah,
and managing up.
And changing minds, I think, which is I'm certainly guilty of having to do, or trying to do, over my time.
In the context of marketing.
In the context of marketing, yes, it is a story. It is a marketing
clients,
podcast.
Employees, yes.
So, yes, I'm not sure if you've done this much, but I certainly have throughout my career is tried to change minds. So, yeah, we now have an expertise. We know that a lot of people who aren't marketers think they know a lot about our expertise, and I have spent an ungodly amount of time trying to change their minds.
Marketing is probably one of the, and you said this, and it always stuck out to me. It's like, marketing is probably one of the few professions that everyone has an opinion on because they've seen advertising before. I didn't go to a doctor and go, hey, I think I know better than you. This marketing is one of those things where it's like someone knows someone's young daughter who can do social media marketing or can do or has an opinion on something, right? And it's like changing minds is a big thing, and how as a marketers we manage those expectations with either clients or internal teams or stakeholders, you know? So...
Yeah, and I mean, like on the doctor analogy though, like we've seen people who have got the flu as well. Like we've been seeing people sick. we don't tend to go, hey, we know more about this than the doctors, but that is the reality of our profession, I think. And I'm not sure why that is the case, but it is. And
why is that? It's pretty systemic. It's not, and it's not. I don't think it's like a unique case to me.
One of my theories is around the evidence-based side of it is we aren't really an evidence-based profession as much as like if you are going to compare it to a doctor, you know, and there is a lot of marketers who don't really know much beyond using a tool to help with communications or advertising or something. I don't consider that marketing. It might be a small part of it, but it's not. On
managing expectations, do you want to kick off with one of your stories?
Well, I want to say another point though there, because I just thought of something, is I think there's probably an ego element of it, that it is perceived, you run this campaign or you do this thing and it makes this disproportionate improvement, and the operations manager gives the idea and they see that as the highest leverage thing to do in the business, which I think is perception. I don't think it's real. I don't think that's how you actually get a big spike. Marketing's where people will go to try and get a quick, big win, and if the marketers would just listen to me, we just do this and we get a massive win. a disproportionate win to the effort.
I worked with a client that they asked me that question. And the question was, have you ever seen one big idea just take off? And I'm actually like, not just one big idea. Maybe a 12-month mark of like always on advertising. We'd made these incremental changes that we could go, okay, based on the evidence testing process, we actually know that this is what drives the biggest result based off all these little tests that we ran. And he was like, well, I've actually done it before, just one big idea. And it's like, oh, really? Like, what was it? And it was just like, okay, well, you had a product that serviced a COVID environment and you pivoted to digital. Of course, that's going to make sense because everyone was locked in their home. They had money to spend. They had nowhere to spend it. I'm going to buy the thing online. I'm locked in my house. How can I make myself happier here? I'm going to buy this thing.
Yeah.
And
but the external environment radically changed.
that was my point.
Yeah.
With this client, for context, they ran retail stores all around Australia. We were running paid media. So Google, Meta, and we're running digital advertising. And it was a health company and it sold like supplements. Their main consumers, like bodybuilders or people, athletes or whatever, they know what they want for most part, and they buy it when it's the cheapest price. The stuff barely ever goes off, right? So obviously there's a big sale, so end of financial year or peak sales, discount time.
Black Friday.
Black Friday, they're waiting for that and they'll just stock up for a year, right?
Yeah.
And you maybe want to go in store, unless you needed it more urgently. And so the owner was like, oh, we're looking at the graphs and we're going, look, we're getting these sales online. Oh yeah, but we're spending the most we ever have in online and our proportional online sales aren't increasing. And I'm like, well, what about your footfall? Oh, well, yeah, that's increasing too. Oh, yeah, but we're not measuring that. Like the digital advertising, somehow the digital advertising budget had no net gain for the footfall traffic and only wanted the online to contribute to online sales.
Yeah.
And it was comparing the trajectory from just post-COVID environment. And it was just around that, like having to manage those expectations around, okay, well, we're looking at one, radically different macro environment where the world was turned upside down. And two, you can't separate online and retail. Like it's all...
I hope you wrote in the ads, do not buy anything in store. If you see this ad, these are digital ads, do not buy anything in store. Only buy online so we can track.
Should have. but it's funny you say that. Like one of the things that I did suggest in this case was having claimable online in-person offers. A bakery was doing advertising in a paper. What they did was they advertised, get a free Claire when you mention this ad or a free thing. And so when people came in, they saw the print ad, back when people bought newspapers, free eclair at Bob's Bakery. And that was how they tracked the people's and they would just tally it up. Where I'm going with that is that's what I suggested to this client in some effect was, why don't we run a campaign where we can actually just go, hey, we're just going to run this promotion and you have to claim in store.
Right. The thing is with that stuff, you're doing something just so you can track it easier.
Yes.
It's not necessarily something that's better for the brand.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So go on.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You're playing into what the client wanted there.
Well, two things. I was like, hey, we claim the coupon online, so we can track the online transaction, and then okay, well, you can actually also claim it in store.
Yeah, okay.
But the thing that they weren't set up for is having the then you'd have 30 of those like locations and having to report on what coupons were claimed, and that would ladder up, and it wasn't really set up for that. But it was a case where like what ended up happening on that is they didn't see the same growth that they had during COVID, and they're bringing a lot of things in house, so that kind of wrapped up that conversation. But
so it could have been an excuse, do you think? Or
well, I don't know if it's an excuse. Like every business owner has a right to exit a marketing contract.
I guess it's an example of where you didn't change your mind.
Didn't change your mind despite my best effort.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've put a lot of effort into doing the same thing. I remember one of my clients, I'd worked with him on and off for a while. I used to do project type work for him, but he'd just go, oh, can you do this? And I'd do it.
What do you mean? Like, so you do project-based work and then he would just have these random ad hoc requests?
Yeah.
Was it part of the project or?
No, it was always a different project. So I just had an open-ended, basically, contract with him that he could just buy hours off me.
Okay.
Well, there's a few things he said over time that kind of like, oh, God. One being that everyone's told me throughout my career that marketing takes time, but I just want it to work quickly. He was selling like $500,000 projects and this type of thing. So this is
things that are short-term impulse buy.
Yeah.
I buy that stuff all the time.
Exactly, yeah. So
maybe if you're a billionaire or so, but okay. So a considered purchase.
Very considered purchase.
A vetted purchase, sort of like a go to tender almost.
Exactly. So that was a bit like, oh gosh. Something else I know with him is using the language of does Facebook work or does LinkedIn work? And
tactics.
But this platform work as this general question. It's like saying, does a hammer work? Well, what are you using it for? And like, what are you,
That's a great point.
What do you want to get out of it?
Yeah,
like, do
yeah.
you want to cook a pasta? It's like probably doesn't work then. Like there's no. Will you hammer your pasta? Do you? All right.
No.
But my values and my view of almost reality and his don't really line up.
Do you think it was because he didn't know what marketing was? Like, what?
But
Like,
I think
was he getting caught? He was getting caught up in like the channel or platform over the outcome, or
Yeah, he wanted to believe it was something it's not. It's
In what way?
Well, that's convenient for a channel just to work. That's ideal, right? If we had an ideal world, you just have, just do Facebook and that worked.
it's not going to be one click buy for most people. And why was he in a hurry to sell? Was he in dire straits?
No, he
or-
wasn't in dire straits. It just, with the money he put into marketing, he wanted to know every dollar basically exactly what it did, as far as how it contributed to a sale. Or
Wanted
not.
his little soldiers to go out and
Yeah.
get more little soldiers and bring back those little money.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
So it got weird towards the end with me and him. I mean, he asked me to hire a PPC freelancer for him, which I did.
Pay per click.
Pay-per-click,
Yep.
yep, which was fine if that's what he needed. So I got that person, and then I think a few weeks later I got this, how's the campaign going? I'm like, I got no idea. Like, I just
Well,
hired
you
the
didn't
person.
brief the campaign in?
I briefed the freelancer and then passed him off. Like, I didn't.
Oh,
I
and it's his responsibility.
I
to
wasn't
work with-
maintaining it. Well, I had no arrangement to maintain it.
Right.
That wasn't doing any work. Like, it was nothing. Like,
was the freelancer actually doing work though? Like he set some
yeah.
fundamentals up, obviously.
Yeah, he'd done some stuff. Yeah, but
But he was asking you how the reporting was. and-
yeah, he wanted me to have some accountability for it or something, I guess.
Yeah, right.
But again, like, even if you hire someone, you do your best, right? And this person was fine, I think, but you do your best, and that's only one part of the process. So I didn't get sales. I did one part of the whole thing, the whole
Totally.
situation, which was hire someone.
it's-
I was out of it for 4 weeks. I didn't know what's going on.
wasn't
with
your
the campaign.
responsibility.
And I
It was-
don't know what the objective of the campaign is.
And there's multiple objectives you can have on a
And I
pay per
don't-
click
yeah,
campaign.
I wasn't across the whole buying.
He just
process.
recruited you. So he had hired you because you'd been working on marketing projects.
Yeah.
He grouped all the marketing together and goes, well, at least hire me someone. So you hired that person. Great. Now it was off to him to run that. How did you
And
manage his
tried.
expectations or scope on that one?
Well, like I went back and I suggested, if you want me to manage it, that's fine. But here's what
But
I
pay
need.
me.
I need to actually manage it. Yeah, and I need to get paid.
Yeah.
And we need like an ongoing. If it's a management thing, I need to manage
Retained.
it ongoing.
Yes. Not just an hour
Yeah.
ad hoc here and there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy to do, but that's project based. I do it. That's fine. And what was really interesting there, and I actually wrote back quite detailed, like, here's how it could work. And he come back and he sort of said, oh, thanks for that, but I just wanted to know how the ads were going. And I'm like, what, like, how long's a piece of string? I can look at the metrics. We don't have any targets. Like, I just hired someone who could run ads. I don't know the overall play here or the strategy.
Marketing is so nuanced. I've worked in agencies for maybe like probably 5 to 6 years, and clients come in with an expectation of what marketing is, and it's so multifaceted.
Yeah.
There's so many specialist roles now, and depending on what type of marketer you are, whether you're a specialist or generalist, whether you're technical, whether you're offline or creative, then you are data driven, and it kind of gets all grouped together. It's like the general practitioner also knows how to do like surgery on this particular part of the foot bone. And you look at any other industry, we'll go back to the doctor or the healthcare analogy, is like there's a reason why there's a veterinarian. They look after animal care, and one of the things that managing expectations and from a client is just getting really clear on what the outcome is, because sometimes clients come with like, hey, I need SEO, I need to have a podcast too. Okay, well, what is the outcome of that you want?
Well, the outcome is going to be sales, though, in a lot of the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can't be held responsible fully for that.
Why not?
For sales, a marketer,
Yeah, absolutely.
being held fully responsible for
100%.
sales.
No.
You're trolling me, mate.
No, absolutely not. But I definitely think like there's a big conversation there about how do you manage that as well.
Which is hard, but I'm at the stage now where I don't think you're going to change minds. Yeah, I don't try and change it from 20% to 90%.
Because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it
Yeah.
drink.
But you might be able to get from 80 to sort of 95.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If someone's a long way there, I think, okay, we have enough like-mindedness that we're working from a similar platform that at least we can probably meet in a compromise that's acceptable for both parties.
Yeah.
But if, we're miles apart, I just think it doesn't really work. I mean, I know you've had a job where you talk someone into giving you a job.
Yeah.
It was different to the job advertised.
Yeah, absolutely. So I applied for this role. So a role got shared with me, and I saw the role, and it was like looking after like a pay-per-click specialist, and I was like, great, digital marketing, I can go into that. I looked at what the business offered and I'm like, wow, works in my vertical. I've worked on these accounts before. I'd worked agencies managing many of these types of accounts with specialists who were doing the work, and I'd be the account manager and work on the strategy piece and closely with these professionals. And I'd also work in the platforms that they were using as well, like 2 of the platforms that they were using a part of their tech stack. I was like, I can definitely do this. Me and the recruiter both aligned. Is like what the client is actually asking for in this brief is they actually need someone a bit more senior. They don't need someone just to do the ads. They also need someone who can do platform integrations, run digital projects, be operational, and just be the digital everything, right? So after 2 meetings, that was my scope. And I did put that forward. It's like, it sounds like if you just had someone doing the paid performance media, there's still email, there's still website, there's still projects, and they wanted to roll out like subscriptions, and they wanted to do a whole bunch of like integrated their logistics and all that stuff. They still need someone to do that. And I was like, I'm that person, right? So I ended up getting that job. What was great about it was that I got to carve kind of like that position out for myself. While I may not be doing the pay-per-click, I can definitely oversee and help with the tracking and give guidance, but I would be in it every day. And I was there for just under a year, and I did digital projects and amongst other things. But what was happening was the expectation was anything that needs to get done digitally, that's your part. And like, for context, it was a full digital business, so there was no parts that like did not touch digital. and we're talking about like from an operational perspective. And if you're a larger organization, you've got Microsoft Teams, you've got Slack, or you've got Google Drive. I'm saying like I came into the business with an Android phone, and everyone's using iMessage to communicate internally. And like not even email, just like iMessage chat. And I was like, I had to log into like my Mac to get on the iMessage, and then to work with some vendors, they had like, I will never forget this. It was like a WhatsApp group with like just images of like the ads that would to be uploaded. And it was like, here's some content someone shared with us, spin it up in an ad, and it would just be shared in like
WhatsApp.
in a WhatsApp group,
right.
and then be somehow uploaded somewhere. And so one of my first things I did was implement Slack and a project management system and a bit of like digital operations behind that. But that was like one of the cases of client having an idea of what they think they want. Like, hey, I just want someone to do performance media, but actually really needing to do a whole bunch of other like operational digital stuff. And and that was one of those things where like managing expectations around, okay, this is what we're actually going to be working on because this is what we need. Yeah. We need to do this in this order.
Yeah, but ultimately it didn't work out.
Ultimately it didn't work out.
So talk to the part about the idea of changing that mind.
So at the start, there was very clear like North Stars of each project or what was going to be done. And what happened over time was there was too many North Stars. North Stars are North Star for a reason. It's the place to go, the one destination, the outcome, the finish line, where we're going to arrive at the end of this project or the end of this year or the end of this quarter, right? Mm-hmm. And what was happening was there's too many changes. I'm talking from a daily perspective and a weekly. Like I do the quarterly plan, this is what we're working on, and then it takes a few weeks to gather those requirements and what needs to be done, scope it out. Yeah. And then the following week, it would be like, oh, no, we need to do this because this is a more urgent priority. Even though it wasn't necessarily revenue generating, it was like, oh, no, we need this. Oh, we've got a new starter. We need to, being a smaller organization, you need to give them all the access and onboard them with this and set up this. It's like in most businesses, a lot of operational fatigue, that expectation of, just spin it up. But it's like, no, it's not just spin it up. It's creating a new account. In order to create a new account, you need their email, their name, maybe their phone number, set up passwords. I'm working in a larger organization now, and there's one person that literally their job is manage permissions. Yeah. And I remember that being a project at like this former company of like setting up password management. Like we've got all these platforms, and it was a case of who has access to the Adobe. And can you imagine how many like time is wasted of like who has access to Canva or who has the keys to the Instagram, like when you're trying to share that stuff. And like one of the first things I did, not the best cybersecurity stuff, is like a spreadsheet of like shared access or who has it, and then to migrate that over to a password manager. But the password manager was too much of a leap. And that's kind of like where it kind of started, the wagon wheel started falling off, is I saw fundamental flaws with their business where someone could take that data and just run away with and shut down your Instagram account.
I hear that though, and I go, but that's why someone like that wanted a pay-per-click person. And you come in and you're selling what was needed, and it's not what's valued. So that piece on changing the mind, I still come back to in your situation there that it was probably too much of a leap in the end for someone.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was too much of a technological leap as well. This business had evolved from an offline business and fundamentally weren't like digital native in a digital native and tech environment.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is like being mindful of you know what you know, but they don't know what you know.
Yeah.
And the analogy I have for that is if you ever climbed a mountain or like hiked a mountain, not necessarily like, Everest, but like...
I've done Kosciuszko.
Oh, wow.
And I've done Cradle Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tasmania and then New South Wales, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done like, the Glasshouse Mountains, like going. That's for context. Those who are not living in Queensland, that is the smallest.
For those who not,
it's like a little hill.
Who don't know, my mountains are bigger.
Yeah, he's been to the bigger mountains. I'm talking about like one. It's a 40-minute like walk on like
kind of embarrassing even to bring it up, really, isn't it? Yeah.
But the point is, I'll go to your analogy of Kosciuszko or Mount Everest. Right, you start at the base. When you're at the bottom of the mountain, you look up and you go, "Wow, I want to be on top of that one there." And I can't wait for the view, right? And what happens is, you go through your little tour, you go, maybe you break. You don't have to break on the ones I go on. Maybe yours like how long is Kosciuszko? Like, is it
I think
one
it's
day?
like 6 hours or something. That's a fair
Is that
trek.
all? No,
one way, I think.
That's quite a
Don't
hike.
quote me because I don't remember. But yeah.
But you get to the top, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, and
very much so.
Maybe not at Kosciuszko because it's the highest mountain, but the analogy
I climbed
is...
it.
No, yeah. No. But when you get there, you look out and you see things that you've never seen before from that height, right? Mm-hmm. And let's just say there's other mountains that are higher than that. You may see mountains that you didn't see from the base, right? So you go, I want to go see that thing. And what this mountain is an analogy for is the information or the stuff you learn along the way to where you are right now, right? Like in your history, in your professional career or history, you've gotten to a certain level of being tenured in what you're doing. You're now at this peak in your career, right? You know the most you know right now. But there's still people who are just like starting at base camp, still on your journey. Most people forget the mountain that they've climbed to get the experience they have. And that was something that I learned in that role was I'd worked for one of the largest tech organizations at Shopify and was looking at that going, how are these people not using AI in everything we're doing? And that was what my vision was because that's what I bought into. I was buying the vision that I'd originally chatted with that founder was you want to make this the biggest platform in this industry, I'm going to do it. Because I was looking long term and looking for the mountain. He was going, I'm just starting at base camp. And that getting from there to there was a gap. Maybe I got him like halfway up the mountain, just by introducing Slack, and a few other things. But that was one of the things where we're on different mountains.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think marketing and digital particularly gets like all grouped together and it's kind of becomes a bit ominous around what needs to be done. But
yeah, I mean, some of the work can be quite invisible, like just plugging holes and just fixing fundamentals, spending 4 hours to fix it, and it will be good for 2 years.
And it's half a day, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, that email didn't go. It's like, okay, well, this other stuff got briefed. And what was interesting about that is like getting to like performance review time. What happened is the business was going through a bit of a transition, like from ownership, like it was 2 founders going to 1, etc. For those who've played sport, or my analogy at the time was like, play soccer and you're a man down on the pitch or a person down on the pitch.
Someone got red carded?
Yeah, someone got red carded. Well, got red carded, brought out of the business and was no longer pulling their weight, right? So that means there's a position open that needs to be filled, right? And maybe, Jack, you're a great forward, so you'll score on the goals up front. I'm a great goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper's out. So what I've had to go from midfield and have to drop back to play a bit of both, midfield and goalkeeper, let's say. And that's what happened in this business. Live on the field, we had to like plug the holes, and I should have been up front, but I had to play back, whatever it was. And when we got to the 6-month review, one of the things that came out was like, oh, well, actually, you haven't been doing the job that I've hired you on paper to do. And I go, well, let's have a look at this. And I just want to be clear, like these projects and tasks that I worked on, we agreed that they would be done at the time, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So like you assigned me those projects and tasks. Yep. And so that was agreed. I'm like, okay, cool. So now at 6 months, you're going, I didn't do what we wrote on a piece of paper. And I was like getting graded against what you didn't have an idea of at the first point. And then now saying, well, I really wanted you to do these things. And because, look, I know that we get to fill another position, but I still expected you to fulfill. It was like, no, we made a live fire decision. Like, forget the role title, forget the scope, the roles and responsibilities. Did I deliver on time, on budget, to specification, what we agreed to when we were on the pitch? And it was like, yes. Okay, great. Let's keep going forward with like that, playing it live. I ended up getting out of that conversation, by the way, it worked very well. We came to an agreement, and, there was a bonus in there around that as well. So that was a good agreement, and we kind of came to a positive outcome around that. It's like, hey, let's just keep playing the pitch as it is. Don't necessarily need to play it by the paper all the time. But that was one thing where it was like successfully managed up in some ways to a level. And then shortly after that, 6 months after, sort of moved on.
I'm just thinking about, it's good in that situation that you did what the client wanted, basically, or the employer wanted. And things like talking about the mountain analogy, I'm just thinking about now, like in my work, something like category entry points, which is the circumstances that happen when someone goes into a buying situation. A lot of my branding work, I will go, hey, and let's work out a category entry point that your business is going to own. And I know how important that is scientifically. I know how effective that is for a business.
So an example could be...
Or they might cut their leg now they're in the market for a Band-Aid.
Yeah, gotcha.
But the category entry point is they cut their leg.
Yes.
It's really cool for a business to own one and to go after one, but I can't make other people value that, despite how convinced I am of the evidence.
So I guess working around that is like managing those expectations of, well, I don't need a category entry point. It's like our product just solves problems.
And then it's like, well, I can sell, what they want, or I can find people who appreciate what I want to sell.
I think
that's kind of my option.
I think that's the thing. Like, I worked on a project where I was looking for a particular specialist, and the client that I was liaising with for this specialist, we were like, hey, we need someone to do like UI, UX. Who do you know? And I, reached out to my network, and this was around Christmas time too. So like, this person was away or traveling or overseas, so they couldn't do a meeting in person. And the client was like, no, we need to have a Zoom call. And I was like, okay, so what questions do you have for the designer? Like, you've seen their portfolio, they've worked on these brands, big acclaimed brands, solving the problems that we were trying to solve, had done the work before. And it's just a vibe check. And I was just like, okay, expectations, like this person's overseas right now, and we're wrapping into December. The project's not going to start to like the end of this January. By the time we scope, agreements, back and forth, etc., discovery. Does a call need to happen now? Yeah, it needs to happen, absolutely. Yeah. Client emails over, oh, we need to get a meeting in, and like, oh, they're not being responsive, Ben. Like, oh, don't worry about it. And it was like, emailed back to the specialist saying, oh, we can't make it work. Obviously, you're not interested in the project or something like that.
They said that to them?
Over email, yeah. Said
wow.
like, unless we can do a call, it's not going to work out. This project needs to happen. Putting like a time pressure on it.
Yeah.
And I remember the client was like, the person's just not going to work out. And I was just like, well, what did you need to ask? I was like, I just want a vibe check. And I just around managing expectations, like they're in South America, we're in Australia, completely different time zones. They're on holiday. The project's not going to kick off, and you just want a 15-minute vibe check. Like, but I was like, because I was trying to ascertain, like, okay, let's write the questions down, send it in an email, and do it asynchronously. Like, what do you want to know? And what I respected about that and the managing expectation piece is that specialist just said, well, it sounds like I'm not a fit for your project.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be the thing that holds the project up.
Yeah.
Wishing you all the best. And I thought that was a graceful way to exit.
Going hiking in Peru.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about hiking. So, And speaking of exiting, I think that pretty much wraps up our episode.
Yeah. Where can people find you if they want to find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Ben Reeves, REEVES, or my website, benreeves.co. Ben Reeves.
Yes, the .co's all the rave these days. I've got the .co as well.
I think I had the .co before you.
You probably did. Yeah.
I had the .co. And
You're a trendsetter, mate.
Well, the truth be told is just the .com was taken.
Well, that's my excuse. All right, man. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Push Podcast. Please remember to subscribe, and if you are enjoying the episodes, please leave a review of the podcast on your platform of choice. It really helps to build the podcast credibility and to help others find this type of information.